Can I just say how amazing the actor who played Percy was? We sometimes, when we say that some people deserve to die, let's say, we sometimes forget that we are also asking other people to kill them. Hi, my name is Shri, and welcome to the review part of The Green Mile. If you want to watch the reaction part of this film, you can head on over to my main channel, Shri Nation. Link will be in the description box below. If you came from the reaction part of that video, first of all, hi, hello, have a seat, and thank you for extending your support to my second channel. And secondly, you know I had to divide that reaction into two parts. The reason being that one scene, that one goddamn execution scene, you know which one I mean, right in the middle. And like saying that it was a lot to watch during the first time is an understatement, and I had to really take a breath before like editing it, and for that I had to watch it over and over again, and like I had to really brace myself, and that's the reason why that video is split in two parts, and even this review took a little while to make. Before we get to the mentally scarring parts of this film, I want to get to the great parts first. The first one was like quite the obvious one, which was its length. To tell you the truth, when people first recommended to me and I googled it, I googled the length of this film, when they said that it was 3 hours long, I was a little hesitant, because in my experience, movies don't necessarily have to be that long. Most often than not, some of these movies that are like over 2.5 hours can be edited out. Some of the scenes can be cut out. This time, however, this movie felt like it was like 20 minutes long. Time didn't feel like a factor in this film. Like, it ran so smoothly, with all the performances being so captivating, the story being like really being immersive, that to be honest, I wish the film was longer. And I don't say that about a 3-hour-long film, let me tell you. There was also an element of surprise waiting for me by the first act of the film, and I thank God that nobody in my comment sections gave me any spoilers. The movie was recommended to me during my Shawshank reaction, and when people said, you know, you should also watch The Green Mile, I thought it would be, you know, just like Shawshank. To add a supernatural element to this was a really ballsy move, because generally with like things like racial bias and like the possibility of an innocent man on death row is a horror in and of itself, and to add anything more to that can be a little risky. But the supernatural here is actually very subtle, like hiding quietly in some corner of this film like a mouse, and only coming out during like 3 very important scenes. Otherwise, you actually like often forget that there is like a supernatural element to the film. They don't ham-fist it, or they don't make it like an integral part of the film. It is still a story about like false assumptions, relationships between people, and like the balance between good and evil and the gray area. Speaking of relationships, before I give props to Tom Hanks or Michael Clarke Duncan, can I just say how amazing the actor who played Percy was? Very rarely do I feel such disgust for a person, and this actor portrayed his nastiness so perfectly that by the end of the film, I wanted to drive a car through his house. That takes talent, to be honest, and I really hope like the guy who played this character didn't get a lot of hate in real life, because like he really nailed the evil of his character. It's insane, because I feel like just like Michael Clarke Duncan, he also stole like every single scene he was in. I couldn't take my eyes off him. I couldn't wait to see what he would do next, like what kind of like scheme he was up to. It was just so amazing. Tom Hanks, as usual, was amazing, but I feel like this is just my opinion. You can obviously disagree, but even though this character was like more dominant during like the second half of the film, Michael Clarke Duncan, the guy who played John Coffey, I feel like he was the star of this film. To portray so much innocence and guilt in this like strong and gargantuan frame is insane, first of all, and you could tell like from his face that he was guilty, but you couldn't really accept him to be a murderer just by the way he acted. It just all felt so real, and even like by the end, I feel like he even sold us on his death. It's like he almost like forgave all of us for watching him die, because it's like he he actually accepted his death, and like a long time ago, because I feel like if he didn't accept his death, it would have been a torturous scene to watch. It would have been perhaps the most unfair ending in history. I know I couldn't have gone through that. Like, I would have probably broken down and I would have needed therapy if, like, he said that, you know what, I don't want this. I know that some people will be disappointed that I didn't shed a lot of tears by the end, but I was instead like very, very angry. And the single reason being that John Coffey wanted to die, that he accepted it. It was his choice. It wasn't by force. And like he would have gotten out if like they did something like Tom Hanks's character, Paul, was like ready to break him out of prison, but he didn't wish that. So that is like the one thing I took comfort in, because otherwise I would have been bawling. Also, it was kind of hard for me to cry during the finale, because more so than like sadness, I was feeling like I was carrying the guilt that these 4 guards were carrying of not only like killing an innocent man but of also assisting the suicide of someone who truly, truly didn't deserve to die. Because like I said, Paul was ready to break him out of prison and Coffey denied it. So by the end, I was not left with tears, but anger at this fucking guard, and this surprise of like this like healing element that he had, and this kind of like guilt by association with like by hanging out with Paul till like the ripe old age of 108. Also, there was a lot of other things going on in the film for me to deal with, not just like the supernatural element of it or like the tragedy element of it. For example, I said in my reaction part that we sometimes, like when we say that some people deserve to die, let's say, we sometimes forget that we are also asking other people to kill them. It's like we're ending a problem by creating a new problem. So like when I think of like prison guards on death row, I think of like people who are disconnected from their empathy, from their emotions, because like they're executioners. This movie sheds light on the harsh truth that we don't like to face, that executioners are also people. And yes, it is possible to befriend evil people on death row. It's the same sentiment shared by one of my favorite nonfiction novels, In Cold Blood by Truman Capote, where Capote befriended 2 people on death row that were accused of killing this entire family in cold blood. He was with them till they were executed, and just like these 4 guards, he also shed tears for these, murderers. It's a hard pill to swallow, but it is the truth. There is also an underlying message about race and prejudice in this film, of course. Like, for example, like somewhere around the middle of the film, there's one man that starts comparing John Coffey to a dog and saying that dogs sometimes bite people. But for like a character, the main character of the film, to look away from like this taught racism and look beyond that and like try to formulate a theory that like this person may be innocent, even when reports say otherwise. And not only that, on a greater scale, like some people may possess talents that we don't possess. In this instance, it was supernatural, but let's say it like we take the supernatural element away and we look at people like, and we think of people as like talents that they possess that we never can. Let's say the talent of healing other people the way doctors and surgeons possess. We are shown that we should never ever judge people based on race or religion or upbringing or class, because people may possess talents and potential that we can't imagine. This makes me think of like talents that perished during racism in America or during the Holocaust or during those countless wars all over the world that never mattered, and all the talents that were lost before they could ever like reach their true potential. It's truly heartbreaking. So in the end, The Green Mile not only made me sad, but it also left so many questions and taught so many lessons in this like tiny package of 3 hours that I was left wanting more. It is truly a marvelous film and a marvelous story. One I can't wait to watch again, except that one torturous execution scene. That's why God invented the fast forward button. I hope you enjoyed this in-depth review of The Green Mile. What are your thoughts about the film? I would like to hear your reviews as well. Leave in the comment section below. If you'd like to extend your support to my Patreon, you can head on over at Sri Nation, or you can buy me a cup of coffee at Sri Nation. Both links will be in the description box below. As always, you can check out my main channel, Sri Nation, where I post reactions and lots of other content. Thank you so much for watching, and I hope I didn't waste your time. See you next week.